All right, welcome back to Home Team Sports. I'm your host, Brandon Ashenfelter, here with my co-host, Brandon Hamilton. Hey, man, good to have you. I know people have been saying we need to get on the mic together. I don't know if there's a better day for us to do it than the Shepherd Pro Day, man.
No, and I was late
That's all right. It's okay.
as usual, but what was exciting was when I was walking in from the parking lot, I see scouts coming in.
Yep. Hey.
Stopwatches around their chest. I've never seen anything like this in Shepherdstown.
They're saying all 32, man, all 32 scouts. So I know these 7 to 10 guys we have here, I think they're ready to perform and really show everybody why they are the best in D2 football.
So yes, all 7. I wasn't aware that there was going to be 7 until I looked at, the lineup or the paperwork that we got. I believe all 7 have a shot of being in a camp.
Yeah, for sure.
On day one.
There's no doubt about it. Stats don't lie, and a lot of them have the stats to go with it. But, hey, here at Home Team, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. Again, this is the coverage for Shepherd Rams Pro Day. Shout out to Eastern Panhandle Cavalry Youth Football Team. That is our title sponsor for today. This is a new youth organization that will compete on a national level in the American Youth Football League. They teach life concepts through sports while understanding the competition is thyself. They compete amongst the nation's best talents, Division 7U, 8U, 9U, 10U, and 11U. Contact Roderick Holloway for more information. Also, shout out to Smith Nadenbush Insurance, covering auto, home, life, health, and commercial. Jones Deck and Fence, a family-owned business for over 35 years. They will give a free estimate. 3D Sports Memorabilia, bringing sports memorabilia from the past, present, and future to families in new dimensions. Peak Performance Training, contact Demetrius Gilepis. Rushers Are Us, my boy from Fairmont, Tony Patterson, shout out to him. He's going to hop on the show a little bit later with us and tell us a little bit about his new business, teaching all ages about how to rush the quarterback. Man, oh man, we are excited here at Home Team. It's a big day here at Shepherd University. Like we said, all 32 teams in the building. A lot are here to see the all-time NCAA passing record holder in Tyson Bagent. But there are some other guys on this roster today that I think are going to turn some heads. Like Brandon Hamilton and I talked about, they at least need to get some type of roster spot, be in somebody's camp. We'll go over stats and stuff later, but Joey Fisher, he is somebody that has been here at Shepherd since 2019, started in all 13 games, and he was a second-team All-PSAC East honor guy. And obviously, Shepherd's offensive line has been a big part in what they can do in protecting Tyson Bagent, and he's been the anchor to that offensive line for quite some time now. So I'm anxious to see Mr. Joey Fisher. Obviously, Tyson, Ronnie Brown is expected to do some great things today. I think everybody's very anxious to see what he can do in the 40. And then we've got some other guys, man, in the conference. Brian Walker from Shepherd, a good tight end that I think could get into somebody's camp based off of his receiving and blocking ability. Somebody else that we have, Mr. Michael Sawyer from Concord University. Shout out to Coach Dave Walker, is now the head football coach up there at Concord. Coached myself, Brandon, and Tyson all in high school. So it's been a exciting time here for Shepherd. I don't know if in the history of Shepherd University if we have had 32 pro scouts in the building.
I just saw 5 or 6 of them when I walked downstairs.
Man, I know whenever I was playing at Fairmont, they had a dude of the name Howard Jones, played D-end here, had a little stint in the league, but I really don't know if all 32 teams made their way to old Shepherdstown, West Virginia.
So I'll go back a little further. James Roos. Remember when
that might be before my time, man.
James Roos was
showing your
a
age.
defensive back here that had a pro day, ended up in the league. I don't want to misspeak. I know he was in camp.
Yeah.
But at the time, he broke a D2 record for kick returns. So he was a kick returner.
Hey.
But I've never seen anything like this, so I'm not exaggerating. I literally just walked downstairs because we're here in the Butcher Center,
yep.
and the bench press is going to be right beside us before we head to the field for the field work. Directly underneath of us is where they're doing the vertical jump and the broad jump, and they're measuring the athletes. The room is full. And I passed representatives from the Jets walking up, the Cleveland Browns, the 49ers are there. I mean,
when I got here this morning at 8:30, I walked in with about 13 scouts. We all walked in around the same time. They're all getting their badges. It's exciting, man. It's electric.
Very exciting.
If you guys can get here, obviously we want everybody watching on Home Team Sports, but I think the outdoor portion of today is going to be awesome for somebody to see. Tyson's going to get a script of about 60 passes. I'm sure we're going to see Ronnie Brown, Brian Walker catching some. Man, I'm just – this day for this community, the Eastern Panhandle, man, is huge.
It's very big. And for Shepherd College.
Yeah. Hey, and you just showed your age calling them Shepherd College again.
Shepherd University.
Yeah.
Shepherd University.
Used to go by Shepherd College. They did, but
so they're not even just – I mean, these aren't receivers. You'll see people in their pro day bring in the receivers from their team just because they feel comfortable with them. These guys have a legitimate shot.
Yeah, they do. There's no doubt about it.
We talked to Ronnie Brown.
Man, and listen, we're hearing that he's going to run a great 40 time today. I'm not going to jinx it, but I think that will be the deal breaker for Mr. Brown. These NFL scouts want to see him run a blazing 40 time. And I'm just as excited for him as I am anybody else because he has all these eyes here to watch.
Yes.
And that's one good thing. Tyson's getting all this publicity and stuff, but these other 6 guys that are here, these eyes are on you as well. So they need to show out.
So I remember my brother-in-law played at Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Ended
Frazier,
up,
right?
Yeah, Ron Frazier.
Yep, Ron Frazier. I remember it.
Ron ended up with the Redskins for a week or two. He was in camp, but he had no agent. He had none of the publicity.
Yeah.
But exactly what happened on a pro day, he ran a 4.340. So
hey, speed kills.
You know
and
it
the
changed?
Scouts know it.
As soon as he ran that 40, he had an agent 10 minutes later.
See?
And was in a NFL camp. And so these guys, not to say that Tyson's helping, but let's just be honest.
Yeah.
When you have those eyes that are here, a lot more people see what you do.
Yeah. And like we talked about, he's going to get a script of 60 passes, which he is the sole quarterback. He's going to be the one doing all the throwing, where at the NFL Combine, obviously, he was sharing those reps. So that's exciting for him because he gets to really put on display in front of these scouts what he can do. And that I love his quote. He runs just like these dudes. He jumps just like these dudes, and he obviously throws just like these dudes, and that's what he's here to really show today.
Right. Well, and we both know Tyson.
Yeah, personally.
So I will say that a lot of the critics that you hear,
they'll
say that he's never played on that stage. He's never played with these athletes. I understand their points. The only difference between maybe our opinion and their opinion would be we know the kid.
Yeah. Work ethic. What type
100%.
of character. Yeah.
So the tools that he's given.
Yeah.
And not to knock Martinsburg, Shepherd, either of those programs, because they're both top-notch programs.
Yeah.
When he's given the tools of an NFL team, the money, the coaching, I just have a hard time not believing that it's not going to work out.
Well, and like you just said, we know him personally. We know his dad personally. I've known Tyson not on a personal level, but I've seen him ever since he was 8 years old. Yes. And I think just based off of his dad's mentality and how just physically gifted he was at a young age, that's what led up to this.
You can't teach 6'3", 215.
No, but and my thing is Travis himself, he prepared his son for this moment. Tyson said in the article, I was up watching podcasts, reading articles all about Mr. Bajan last night, and he said in an article that he just can't imagine himself anywhere else. Like, this is what he is meant to do, and that's exactly what he's doing. So I'm like we talked about, the eyes are on him. But
right.
like I want to go ahead and run down the roster that we do have today. Obviously, Mr. Bajan, Joey Fisher, offensive lineman from Shepherd, another Shepherd guy, and Ronnie Brown. Blazing speed today, we're hoping. Brian Walker, tight end. Solomon Alexander is another Shepherd guy, plays D-line that we're going to get to see today. Mike Sawyer from Concord University, a very good DB. And you and I talked about a little bit about that. Maybe some NFL scouts could see him playing a little safety.
Yeah.
But he's
able to
guy.
talk to Mike on the way in today.
He's another guy that could get in by playing special teams. So
100%.
That's what these guys
now
have
his
to
40 is going
realize.
to be very important too.
Yeah, very, very important.
Because the only knock on him has been the speed.
Yeah.
So
one other guy, and then we'll get to talking about all of them. And if I mess your name up, I apologize, Frank. But it's Frank Muhani from West Lib University, and he's a very physical fullback. I was watching a little bit of film on all these guys last night, and I played Division II football, and I think the biggest difference is obviously your depth and your trenches. The trenches are, you don't have a bunch of guys that look like Joey Fisher.
Right.
But at the D1 level, you do. But these guys, I truly believe, could play with the best of them, and that's what they're here to display.
One of the things Tyson touched on at Pro Day and Pro Day practice leading up to this was that there wasn't a whole lot of difference in the receiver speed.
Nope.
There wasn't a whole lot of difference anywhere, but he said the one thing that he felt was different was the throwing lanes.
Yeah.
And obviously you were a quarterback.
Yeah.
So when you have 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" linemen, you have to get acclimated to there being smaller windows.
Of course, yeah.
Because having those big linemen is a great thing for protection.
Yeah.
But it also narrows the throwing lanes.
Yeah, it does. And my thing with him is he really got to display in the All-Star game in Mobile what he can really do with his arm. I
100%.
mean, he threw at the Combine, Will
17
Levis.
of 22?
Yeah, but even at the Combine, Will Levis is throwing, what's his velocity, 49 miles per hour. Tyson's right behind him at 58.
And we heard that this guy had a crazy arm.
He's supposed to have the strongest arm in the last, 5 years?
That's all I heard about.
I truly believe that Mr. Bajan has solidified himself and just let the scouts know and the NFL world know that he's ready for this stage.
The biggest takeaway that I saw 3 months ago, before Tyson left for Florida, I was able to see him. Mm-hmm. When I was watching the NFL Network and I saw him get ready to run his 40, he was in a dry fit.
Yeah.
His body's transformed.
Oh.
Whatever he's done in Florida for the last 3 months. So what I'm basing a lot of my opinion on is when he gets into an NFL camp and the last 3 months of preparation he's had, when he has that
year round,
mm-hmm. he's already a freak.
Yeah.
But it's going to be scary because he went from a kid that, there was questions about mobility, and now all of a sudden they're saying his mobility is going to help him.
4.78 was the 40?
4.79, I think.
Yeah.
But for people that are listening, that was at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, that's laser.
Electronically timed. Yeah. That's not your coach holding a stop clock.
Yeah.
So, for comparison, a lot of people that don't know, a kid in high school that runs a 4.540 on a hand clock, that's a 4.9 guy on a laser.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of talk about 40 times, and I'll be the first one to tell you that if you run a sub 5 flat 40 on a laser, you are a very fast human being.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and we're going to see it today when they run the 40.
Well, and something else that I think really impressed some scouts about Tyson is his athletic ability in the jumping. It was a 10 broad?
10-foot broad, and then I believe
29.
the vertical, it was
a
36.
30, yeah, that's right.
Like something.
I mean, I know, listen, Tyson, in high school, he was a heck of a basketball player. Really wish he would have played his senior year, but hey, he knew what he wanted to do.
Right.
Obviously, he's been preparing himself for this. So, but he was dunking. I mean, he still hoops every now and then. He can still get up. And,
so if you think about it, a 6'3" dude with a 36-inch vertical, when you
easy.
say that and don't think about a quarterback,
he
can dunk any way he wants.
One good thing about Tyson too is his IQ. I sat and watched the little chalk talk he did, and I don't know if NFL scouts have seen a D2 guy that's just this sharp. I mean, his whiteboard material is just outrageous compared to some of the other guys that I watch. Like, he's a very smart football player, and I think that's what he really got to display in that All-Star game. 17 to 22, you have to be smart. Your IQ has to be.
Yes. And he found a relationship in that game, I noticed, with a tight end from Alabama or one of these. So when he's given those tools, too, I think that he's going to find a guy just here at Shepherd, him and Brian Walker's relationship. We're going to see Brian Walker today. But he's also going to find that tight end from one of these bigger schools that just has the body and has the speed that maybe he's never seen before.
Yeah.
It's just more tools that you're given. We'll touch a little bit more on Tyson. Obviously, you're going to hear about Tyson all day. The main thing for me about Tyson is a lot of the critics are going to say that he hasn't played at a certain level or he hasn't played – he's never lost.
Yeah.
From the time that he played, in youth football league in Jefferson County for the Razorbacks, he was never any other position than a quarterback.
Yeah.
His dad knew that he wanted to be a quarterback. And then Martinsburg.
Yeah, Martinsburg. Hey, we will bring you right back after this quick commercial, and we're going to talk a little bit about the rest of the roster here today.
We cover every sport that you can think of, and this comes down to the way we do our assessments, the way we look at biomechanics in the athlete, and how we're best able to assess them.
Peak performance has gotten me faster, stronger, got me bigger.
It's made me more confident in myself in football.
I've been coming to peak performance for 2 years now, and it's been helping me with my athleticism, my strength. All in all, it's just a great training.
Peak performance has helped me so much, get faster, stronger, eat healthier. He's always checking up on my grades.
It definitely made me, more of a leader on the field and definitely off the field.
It's helping with my positional work and make me better at the position I play today.
So Peak Performance Training Nutrition has a website, www.peakperformancetrainingandnutrition.com.
Hey, you ready from this?
Let's go. Yeah, I took the cash route. I put in more time, more grind, no line. I didn't take the fast route. Let's go. Suck it up, no crime, no crime, no crime. I didn't ask for handouts. Go to work, no grind, no shine, no shine. And that's how you stand out. Yeah, that's how I stand out. Yeah, I took the cash route. I put in more time, more grind, no line. I didn't take the fast route. Suck it up, no crime, no crime, no crime. I didn't ask for handouts. Go to work, no grind, no shine, no shine. And that's how you stand out. Yeah, that's how I stand out. Let's go. Yeah, I took the cash route. I did it and did it again. What you did? I started to 1 and I went up to 10. Came back, now I'm winning again. People left behind 10. This one they gon' hop out. They don't know what whip did he in. Put in hours of practice and that's how it happened. I don't even pick up a pen. I'm coming straight up out the top with it. Let's go. I ain't a power 40, ain't a center, but he was on the block with me. Shooting in the gym. Really got it in. He put up the shots with me. Now we breaking bread. Everybody playing. He hold up a knot with me. No cap. We took the cash route. Let's go. Yeah, I'm talking movie vet. We grew up in noodles. Spaghetti. Used to be peanut butter and jelly. Now the chef, he gon' come when it's ready. What you know about the lights off candles? I'm about with the mic off that. Like Mike. I'm a star on the moonwalk. Now I got the whole room talking. Yeah, I'm talking trophies. I got everybody talking down, acting like they know me. I'm a champion, like LeBron. Ballin' with my homies. I'm better than the old me. R.I.P. to Kobe. Yeah. Yeah, I took the cash route. More time, more grind, no line. I didn't take the fast route. Suck it up, no crime, no crime, no crime. I didn't ask for handouts. Go to work, no grind, no shine, no shine. And that's how you stand out. Yeah, that's how I stand.
Welcome back to Home Team Sports TV. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Ashenfelter. With me is co-host Brandon Hamilton.
Brandon and Brandon
Brandon
show.
and Brandon. Hey,
This
B&B.
might go somewhere.
We might have to start a podcast or something, man.
Home team.
Hey, we want to run down the rest of this roster, just give you guys a little insight on what you're going to see today. Another big-time name, obviously. Viewers at home, if you've been keeping up with Shepherd football, you know about Joey Fisher. His honors and awards are ridiculous as well. He's a guy that has racked up a bunch of awards and solidified himself as a D2 All-American. Invited and accepted to the Senior Bowl, but unfortunately had the hand injury.
Boxer's fracture.
Is that boxer's fracture? Is that
and
what it was?
And I've had 13 of those.
Yeah, that's because you like fighting, right?
It's because I don't punch correctly.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to touch it was a boxer's fracture. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So him not playing in the Senior Bowl was strictly, preventative.
Yeah,
yes. That will heal and will never heal 100%, but it's just on the outside of your hand, right back behind the knuckle.
Okay.
So it's not going to affect his career in any way.
And honestly, I think I don't know if scouts are going to let something that minor affect their outlook on a guy that's done what he's done at this high level of football. Because you say D2, but Shepherd goes to the D2 playoffs almost every year.
And I think, and this isn't to knock Mr. Fisher, but I think if he was a top 10 pick, this is something that they're going to maybe use as leverage for salary, for signing bonuses. They will really nitpick in the first couple rounds. Now, obviously, I'll be honest, if he gets drafted, then that's going to be a good thing for Joey Fisher. So in those later rounds, you just won't see as much nitpicking, as to speak, because
to give you your shot. They want to see what you can do with the shot. Yeah, for sure.
I will say, and this isn't a home team bias for Shepherd, the players that I think here today that are on the biggest radar are obviously Tyson, Joey Fisher, and Ronnie Brown. Now, the other gentlemen here all have a legitimate shot of landing on an NFL roster. But those three, I believe, are up here. I'm big on Ronnie Brown.
I'm a huge fan of Ronnie Brown, and that's the next person we're going to talk about. NFLPA Collegiate Bowl participant, Don Hanson, All-American, honorable mention, which I think he might have got snubbed on a little bit, but I think the downfall about Mr. Brown is you do play with two big names like Mr. Bagent, like Mr. Fisher, but if you came to Shepherd games, if you tuned in on Home Team, you saw Mr. Ronnie Brown.
Depending on the games, too, right?
Yeah.
So when you pass the ball 55 times a game, you may have a game where the numbers just aren't there, right? But what I think helps from an NFL perspective, they look for running backs in later rounds. They look for them as undrafted free agents because you don't want to pay this big salary for a big name out of Alabama or out of, out west, UCLA, USC. You're not going to pay for these guys in the first three rounds.
No.
Because you can find them in the draft. You can find them as undrafted free agents.
One thing that I think is going to help Ronnie Brown is, like you talked about, Shepherd, obviously, passing offense. You got Mr. Bagent with 17,000 career passing yards. But Ronnie Brown really was so electrifying in the return game. Just a little bit of stats.
Can play in the slot as well.
Play in the slots. He can catch the ball. But, I mean, he had a 100-yard kickoff return touchdown this past year against Kutztown that was exceptional. It was one of the best college runs I've seen, D1 and D2. Spin move, hurdle for a touchdown is exceptional.
So in the offseason, I knew who Ronnie Brown was.
Yep.
I knew that he was a phenomenal athlete. But, when I became kind of, not so much to say a fan, but he really got on my radar. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman, and I won't say from which school because I think that he may still end up at Shepherd, but there was a D1 receiver that, for whatever reason, was leaving that school and was interested in coming to Shepherd. Mm-hmm. So this is before the season. This is in the off season. They put together, and we see some people gathering down low. Yeah, they are getting ready to start the vertical. Yep. So anyway, back to the story I have about Ronnie and where he really caught my eye for the first time. They brought this receiver in from a large D1 school, and they're basically just testing him out to see how he compared to the receivers here at Shepherd. So Tyson was throwing the ball. They brought in their 4 or 5 best guys from here at Shepherd. This receiver, now I want to say, too, it wasn't fair to him because they sent him on 9 route after 9 route. Like he was
see if he can run.
Just to see, well, and his cardio, to see what type of shape he was in. Mm-hmm. So Ronnie's there. They work out for 30, 45 minutes. Everybody's packing up and getting ready to leave. I see Ronnie go into the locker room. He comes back out with a trainer. He puts his ladder out, sets his cones up. He starts working out again. And this kid just ran routes for 45 minutes.
Hey.
After the workout, he comes back out to start another workout. His motor is crazy.
Hey, if you want to perform at the level that some of these guys did, you have to your preparation has to be different. And that's one good thing that I will say about Shepherd is you have these 3 dudes right here, 4 dudes, Solomon, 5 actually, Brian, Shepherd, Brian, Tyson, Ronnie, Joey, and Solomon. They are setting the standard again because there are great Shepherd football players before them that really set the standard, but they're doing it at a different level.
And so just to put it in perspective, that same day I saw a Division I receiver here at a D2 school. He was the 4th best receiver on the field.
I think
getting to see them beside each other, it's just – now I will say that he had some of the measurables that the other kid. I think that for me, that's the biggest difference between D1 and D2.
Of course.
It's not the speed.
No.
It's the speed on a 6'3" frame.
Yeah.
Instead of it being a 6-foot receiver or.
Well, I think that is one of the big differences whenever you look at D1 and D2 is you might have the same speedy receivers, but that D1 receiver might be 6'3", 6'4", 6'2". Might have a couple inches on your D2 guy, but like you said, Hamilton, it looks like we're getting ready to go ahead and start with the vertical jump down here. It does look like Mr. Solomon Alexander's going to go first, and we will get you guys at home a view. Mr. Solomon going to go ahead and get ready. You see all the other prospects, I should say. They're not recruits anymore. They're NFL prospects.
They're prospects. And a lot of these gentlemen, we talked about Joey, we talked about Tyson, we talked about Ronnie. So we can take Joey and Tyson kind of, not so much Joey, we can leave him in the equation with what I'm about to say. A lot of these guys are going to have to not so much learn because we're going to do a little research and find out. We think Joey may have played tight end or.
Yeah, I know he went to.
Very athletic. I mean, just looking at his frame.
He played basketball in high school. He was a 2-letter athlete. Mr. Solomon with the first jump. Mr. Solomon was a very good defensive lineman for the Shepherd Rams this year. I mean, he was a force up front, so he might not be a guy that, NFL scouts are going to say.
When the XFL first came out.
Yep.
It was very low budget. We actually know someone now in Jawan Green, who's playing in the XFL.
Doing great.
Yes, and I will tell you that I won't disclose the salary. I know it. These guys are making in 3 months what normal people make in a year.
Yeah.
So not only is it a platform to get back to the NFL, but it is also financially lucrative. They're able to pay their bills now, because there's been a little bit of funding with The Rock and different people that are involved.
Just Mr. Ronnie Brown.
I can't see the numbers, but I saw a lot of excitement.
Yeah, it definitely, people started clapping. looks like the scouts got a little excited, and that's something that Ronnie's going to have to do well is measurables today. Yeah, he's going to have to show that he's explosive, and this is how. But just for the viewers at home, to give you guys a little update, it looks like Mr. Bajent, we're going to do the on-field work around like 12:30, so they pushed it back about 30 minutes. But we will be tuned in. That's going to be a big part of this pro day. Mr. Brown to jump again, prepares himself. He is an athlete. He is an athlete. Looks like he's got some friends in the building that are excited to see Mr. Brown perform today. So
it's one thing that's going to help him is when you bring a guy in late, or bring him. When I say bring him in, I mean undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Or if he happens to get drafted, there are 5 different positions on the field he could play.
No doubt about it.
So he can move around a little bit.
Yeah.
He can fit a lot of different needs for you. I will say just about everybody on this roster, excluding Tyson and maybe Joey, special teams is going to be huge for him.
Honestly, that's how a lot of guys get found. I mean, you look at somebody like Dewey McDonald, who played a long, was he in the league 7 years?
Long time.
Yeah, I mean, he made another West Virginia guy, C.J. Goodwin, still playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Both of those guys made a name for themselves on special teams. C.J., I mean, he's one of the ballots on the ballots for the, what do they call it now? The Pro Bowl games, the flag football game. They changed it all on us, but he's always on the ballot for a special teams player. So
NFL roster is what, 54-man roster?
53.
53?
Yeah, 53. Yeah.
So if you just run the numbers, you have to have some of those guys that can fill in your special teams.
And an interesting fact that I learned last night is there are actually 50 total D2 players that are active on an active roster in the NFL.
Okay.
I will go through some notable names later today whenever we do some throwing and stuff on the field. But there's some guys in the league that have made a name for themselves from D2 programs.
I haven't seen that list, but I would venture to say that a lot of those guys are what we just touched on. That can play anywhere.
Well, I mean, you look at somebody like one of the more notable names is Tyreek Hill, West Alabama.
I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, I know you're all around Miami, but that's a guy that made a name for himself from the D2. And
there's no speed in D2, though, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
There's no speed in D2?
And that's the thing with somebody like Ronnie Brown. Say he comes in today and runs a 4.340. Who doesn't want to take on a chance on a kid like that?
And you'll have, people that say it's at a pro day, that he did it at his pro day. Well, he would have ran the same 40 at the combine. He wasn't invited.
Yeah.
So you have to really, it's all opportunity.
For sure.
What opportunities you're given. Not only, but one of the great things about it is he basically has the combine here at Shepherd today.
Yes,
Every team from the NFL is represented by some, and from the guys that I've seen, these don't look like the janitors.
No.
Like, there's some beautiful human beings down there.
Yeah,
I will say.
Mr. Brian Walker with a good jump. He is a guy that so we touched a little bit about it earlier. I played quarterback in my high school days, but moved to tight end in college. And when I would come watch the Shepherd games, obviously Tyson, everybody's watching him. But Brian Walker was a guy that I would lock in on, and he did all the right things. Catch the ball, he would block, he got dirty when he needed to.
Meets the eye test, too.
Yes, he does. Meets the eye test. 6'4", can jump as we're seeing right now. Are they going to give it to him? No. And it looks, I want to say we have more than 7 down here. I'm not sure. This is a guy from Concord as well, but this is not Sawyer, correct?
That is not Sawyer. Does he have a Concord shirt on?
Yeah, he does have a Concord University. I'm going to have to text Coach Walker and ask him who's here from his school. But the gentleman about to jump right now did not make our roster. He might be a late entry, but he does look the part.
I spoke to Coach Walker. Now, obviously, I didn't know about this other gentleman that would be here, but I asked him about Mike Sawyer. He obviously told me that he was a great player, but Coach Walker as well as I do. He wouldn't lie to me.
No.
So if he thinks that he has – and that was my exact text, does he have a chance? And he texts back, absolutely. Now, of course, we went over some of the specifics, whether he would have to – because he's a defensive back.
Yeah.
So whether he would have to move from corner to, say, safety but he's one of those guys, I think, that if he's able to be versatile and if he's able to play special teams.
Yeah.
We're pulling up the other gentleman from Concord.
Yeah, I believe this is him, maybe Mr. DeJour. Davenport?
Mr. Davenport?
Yeah, Mr. Davenport, defensive lineman, 6'4" graduate student from Concord University. Started in 9 of 10 games last year, 32 tackles. Led the team with 9 tackles for a loss, and this was a very good D2 football program that's led by our high school football coach. He's turned that program around. And we do have some live stats for you guys here. Ronnie Brown, great vertical at 37-inch vertical. Joey Fisher, 32-inch. Brian Walker, 33-inch. And then DeJour Davenport just also had a 33-inch. And those guys are jumping, man. They all of them can dunk, that's for sure.
They can. You know what stands out when you first thought in my brain? Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, this isn't any bias. Tyson was 36.
Yeah.
So what we think, if you would tell me coming into today that Tyson and Ronnie Brown would be 1 inch apart.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that's accredited to the last 3 months in Florida.
And this is another West Lib guy. Yeah, I mean, and that's something that he put on display, obviously, for everybody, is that he's not just a quarterback that has an arm with no feet. The guy's an athlete.
I think that's why there's 32 teams here.
Yeah. I mean we talked about that. They're here for him, but these other guys, hey, if they're here for somebody, at least I need to go get my shine. And this, I'm not sure who this is either from West Lib, but he just
anything over 30 inches, though, to a normal human being is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But when you start getting up over 33, over 34, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And we will find out for the viewers at home who this gentleman is right now jumping for West Lib. Pro days at the D2 level, there's always a lot of late entries. I know even whenever I was in school at Fairmont, we had a couple guys, my junior year that were prospects. They headed up to WVU.
Right.
There were some late entries at WVU just because of the noise that they made at the D2 level. So,
well, you're starting to see some even people that have been in the league for years, for whatever reason, are out of the NFL now or off of a team.
Yeah.
They're going back to their college for pro days. Yeah. So this pro day,
Cam Newton.
Yes,
that's
one I was thinking of. And there's a defensive lineman going back to Alabama. That's,
okay.
I mean, he was a top 10 pick. I think he played for the Chargers. I was reading about it the other day. So it's just nice for these schools to be able to give back to the players no matter what point of their career that they're in. Cam Newton is a grown man. He's older than most of the staff.
Yeah.
But obviously trying to land himself on a roster.
And I believe the next gentleman up is going to be the fullback from West Lib, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, that's a position you don't see as much of. It's fading away a bit.
What they're doing now is, and this is what I had to learn in college,
tight end.
H-back.
Right.
You have to be versatile, like Mr. Walker, somebody that's going to –
Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, somebody that can put your hand in the ground, but also go out in the slot and run a route just like a receiver.
And I think a lot of that comes down to only having a 53-man roster, right? So if you're going to use a fullback, your fullback also has to be able to play tight end or play that H-back position so that you can carry essentially 3 players in one.
Yeah. And I'm trying to...
Sorry, guys. We just have the vertical test is directly underneath of us here at the Butcher Center. So
this is Mr. Frank Mihanyi, and if I'm saying his name wrong, I apologize.
You're saying his name, so don't apologize.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. We are saying his name,
but
I'm saying it wrong.
Well,
look at the
saying
beast,
it right,
man.
wrong.
Look at the beast.
However you're saying it, you're saying it at a pro day.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. And this is Mr. Sawyer from Concord University.
Okay.
He's somebody, like you said, you've talked to Coach Walker about. I have a great relationship still with Gerard Bowie, and last time I was in Princeton for work, I actually took Gerard to dinner, had a great dinner. We talked about a lot of stuff, and he said that Mr. Sawyer is somebody that made him better.
Right.
They were that iron versus iron going against each other every day in practice. And, I mean, Gerard had nothing but great things to say about this kid. Like you said, Coach Walker had nothing but great things to say about this kid. So I think as a scout, you should be excited about somebody like him.
Gerard has 1 year left?
One, yeah. Well, no.
Maybe two.
Two.
Because of COVID.
Yeah, you know everybody that COVID year. But Gerard Bowie, another Martinsburg product at Concord.
If
Coach
Gerard
Walker.
Bowie was a senior yesterday,
Yeah.
he would be at this pro day today,
Yep.
and most of these scouts would also be watching him.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. Gerard, he's one of the most electric players I've ever seen at the high school and college level. So, but yeah, Mr. Sawyer, he's a defensive back, 6'1", 190, out of Baltimore, Maryland.
Local kid.
Calvert Hill, yep.
So I was able to speak with him walking in today.
Probably drove here this morning, about an hour down the road.
About an hour down the road, and that's for a lot of people that don't know. Shepherd is a West Virginia school.
Very small, but
was West Virginia Conference for years. Now, obviously, they're in the PSAC. But and they also have, you know, a deal with the metropolitan area as far as tuition and some things that, you know, go much more than my knowledge. But I do know that there's a deal in place where you're able to get in-state tuition if you're actually not in-state. But what I'm getting at, this really isn't West Virginia.
No.
We can be in 3 states within 30 minutes.
I travel the whole state of West Virginia for my job. I'm probably the only person that you may know that's been to all 55 counties in the state of West Virginia. And
that would be horrible.
Man, when I'm telling you, most of the time I'll go to these counties like Wyoming and Wetzel and stuff like that, and I drive 2 hours back.
If I see some tight ends or quarterbacks popping up in Wetzel County.
No, sir. No. Listen, but I'm in and out of the courthouses a lot, and the clerks and bailiffs there, when I tell them where I'm from, they say, you're not from West Virginia. You guys are from the DMV. That's how they look at us. Even though the Eastern Panhandle is a huge part of the state of West Virginia when it comes to money and taxes and all that good stuff. But like you just said, we're not viewed as West Virginia. And even whenever I went off to school, everybody could not believe that I was from West Virginia.
Well, and that's not to say that the rest of West Virginia doesn't produce quality football, right? Because you see, you know, Quincy Wilson come out of Weir, West Virginia.
Yes.
But what happens is it's very
Randy Moss.
Right, Randy Moss out of Rand, West
Virginia.
But it happens, say, once every 10 years, right? So what we're starting to see in the Eastern Panhandle is the influx from Baltimore, D.C., it's a pure numbers game.
Yes.
So the more people that you have, and I would say that the Charleston area is kind of on the decline because they used to get an influx from Detroit and, you know, Ohio. That Ohio Valley's still tough, but we have a larger population that's moving into the area from the D.C., the Baltimore, all of Maryland.
We do have another gentleman from, I want to say he might be from a Wheeling school. I see Cardinal. Maybe it's a Frostburg. I do have an update. Frank Yuhani from West Lib, 26 inches. The other gentleman who we will find.
So he's a fullback,
shortly,
correct?
Yeah.
So fullbacks don't have to jump very often.
No, you have to hit. Hey, I watched this film last night, and he is a very physical fullback. I'm trying to find this other gentleman from West Lib to go ahead.
I don't want my fullback to be able to jump.
No. You better stay on the ground.
I mean, if I got a fullback that jumps 40 inches, we got a problem.
Yeah. But the other gentleman from
I want my fullback to be unathletic
and just stocky. Can't even move.
Yeah. Mrs. Humphreys behind us.
Other West Lib guy.
Doing well. How are you?
32-inch. Mike Sawyer was 33.5. Keyshawn West is the other guy from West Lib with the 32-inch.
Okay.
Wheeling, that's who Mr. Jason Simon was from. 31-inch vertical. So these guys, they are out here jumping and showing off that they are some athletes. So
they are. And I would say the vertical, out of everything that they're testing today, so you're going to have – they obviously all matter because it's going to show a collective group of work for these guys that are testing out today. But there are going to be certain things at certain positions they look for. So as we just spoke on with the fullback, the vertical is not going to be as important as, say, the bench press.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to see, and I'll be one of those people that tell you I'm not a big bench press guy. I don't think that it matters a whole lot in football except for your offensive lineman and your fullback because they're naturally pushing forward. Now, if they tell me a receiver does 24 – so at the bench press, for people that don't know, they put 225 pounds on. You don't max out. It's not, this guy benched 400 pounds. They put 225 on. You do it as many times as you can. So anything over 20 is crazy.
It's good. Yeah. They're fine with it.
Where I'm going with it, if you have a receiver that does 24, 25, that really doesn't matter to me football per se. What it tells me is the guy's a gym rat. It tells me about his work ethic.
We've got a guy from the University of Charleston. I'm trying to find his name as well. Some late add-ons like we talked about earlier, but we'll get their names as soon as it's relayed to us to let the viewers at home know what their measurables are. But he is a high jumper from the University of Charleston.
Yeah, we can see the sticks.
Yeah.
So, you obviously can see he's up there.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be, if they give it to him, it's going to be 36, 37 inches.
Yeah. And we will get you his name here shortly. I think he's going to get one more jump maybe. Again, the University of Charleston is represented here at this NFL Pro Day as well.
This is big for a lot of these D2 schools, just being able to land some of these local kids.
He got better every time. Every time. And actually, the University of Charleston, I was reading last night, they actually have a receiver and a DN in the league right now on active rosters. Michael Stratton, I believe, is the receiver, and the other DN, he plays for the Detroit Lions. Can't recall his name, but...
happy for the kid.
Yeah, oh, man.
Not for the area.
Yeah. Well, I was never a UC fan myself. They were always a rival team whenever, we played them in college. And unfortunately, in my high school days, the University of Charleston's field is the only one that I actually lost on. So
wow,
yeah,
I didn't know that, but I do know that you probably got cheated.
I don't want to blame any refs, but yeah.
Oh, you go to Charleston area, you're not getting anything.
Hey, we are going to take a brief commercial and come right back after a word from our sponsors.
We cover every sport that you can think of, and this comes down to the way we do our assessments, the way we look at biomechanics in the athlete, and how we're best able to assess them.
Peak performance has gotten me faster, stronger, got me bigger.
It's made me more confident in myself in football.
I've been coming to peak performance for 2 years now, and it's been helping me with my athleticism, my strength. All in all, it's just a great training.
Peak performance has helped me so much. Get faster, stronger, eat healthier. He's always checking up on my grades.
It definitely made me more of a leader on the field and definitely off the field.
We cover every sport that you can think of, and this comes down to the way we do our assessments, the way we look at biomechanics in the athlete, and how we're best able to assess them.
Peak performance has gotten me faster, stronger, got me bigger.
It's made me more confident in myself in football.
I've been coming to peak performance for 2 years now, and it's been helping me with my athleticism, my strength. All in all, it's just a great training.
Peak performance has helped me so much. Get faster, stronger, eat healthier. He's always checking up on my grades.
It definitely made me more of a leader on the field and definitely off the field.
It's helping with my positional work and make me better at the position I play today.
So peak performance training nutrition has a...
All right, welcome back to Home Team Sports TV. Again, I am Brandon Ashenfelter. My co-host stepped off for a second, but now I have my man Tony in the building from Rushers R Us.
Yes, sir.
Fellow Fairmont State football player, transferred to West Virginia State. Yep.
Absolutely.
We brought Tony on because he is a sponsor for today's Pro Day, and we wanted to give you a second to talk about your new business venture.
Okay, yeah. So Rushers R Us. I started in mid-January. I teach pass rushers. I don't teach running backs. I don't teach quarterbacks, not receivers. If anybody comes to me other than a pass rusher, I send them somewhere else, but I strictly teach pass rushers, and that's what I do. I love it.
Love it, man.
Absolutely.
And something else that I was just sitting here talking about Hamilton with, he didn't believe me that there's a Mex. What is it? The MFL?
LFA.
LFA. Okay. So explain a little bit about that aspect to us too, because I know you do some scouting for them.
Okay, so I do scouting for the LFA. That's the Mexican NFL.
Okay.
Basically, it started off with me just doing rushers. I just scouted rushers, but now it's open to all. We have a showcase on May the 6th coming up in Charleston, West Virginia. So we're going to have all the players come to that. And then we have another one coming up in July in Maryland. That's going to be in Odenton, Maryland. And that will, it'll be in Odenton, Maryland.
Okay.
And that'll be for all players as well.
See, and it's awesome for a guy like you to come and not only talk about your business venture and rushers. How do you say it? Rushers are us?
Rushers are us.
Rushers are us.
I got you.
Say it again.
Rushers are us.
Rushers are us. There it is. There it is. So, but somebody like you who's, traveled to play the game that you love in football. You've been where else besides Mexico?
So I started off in Alabama.
Okay.
All right. From Alabama, I had a coach. He took me to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
From Mexico, I went to PA. Then I went back to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it, yeah.
So a guy like you with a little bit of experience in playing at the pro level, and you're here obviously to talk about your business venture, but you've got the eyes here to scout as well. So some of these guys, if they don't get picked up by the NFL or one of these other leagues, you can step in and say, hey, I got a perfect opportunity for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We know about Tyson.
Yeah.
We know about Ronnie Brown. But there's other guys here.
Yeah.
And I actually saw a guy from Wheeling that I saw last weekend when I was in Wheeling. Yeah, if they slip through the cracks, man, we would love to have them, and I can send them into pretty much any league but the NFL.
Yeah.
We'll just go from there.
See, and the good thing about it's a little different now than when we were playing. There's so many more different avenues when it comes to the leagues and arena. Is arena and indoor the same, or it's two different, right?
It's pretty much the same.
Same, but and then you got, say it one more time for me. LFPA?
The LFA.
LFA.
Yeah.
What does it stand for?
The Latin Football Alliance.
Football League.
Yeah.
But to the viewers at home, we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to move over to the field for the field portion of today. But everybody, if you've got a pass rusher at home, Mr. Tony Patterson, he's the man to go to, and I'm telling you now, you won't be disappointed. But thank you all, and we'll be back here after this quick break.
We cover every sport that you can think of, and this comes down to the way we do our assessments, the way we look at biomechanics in the athlete, and how we're best able to assess them.
Peak performance has got me faster, stronger, got me bigger.
It's made me more confident in myself in football.
I've been coming to peak performance for 2 years now, and it's been helping me with my athleticism, my strength. All in all, it's just a great training.
Peak performance is helping me so much. Get faster, stronger, eat healthier. He's always checking up on my grades.
It definitely made me more of a leader on the field and definitely off the field.
It's helping me with my position and work and make me better at the position I play today.
So Peak Performance Training Nutrition has a website, www.peakperformancetrainingandnutrition.com.